Hi folks, how are y'all doing today? My name is David Cugino, and today I'm finally reviewing the book that I've been meaning to get to. Let me start my timer here. Finally been reviewing the book that I've been meaning to get to, and that is Gym Launch by Hormozi. Now, you're probably wondering why I really want to review this book, because I think when it comes to starting a gym, I know one of the books I did was Starting Your Career by Jonathan Goodman. But this book's by Hormozi. I don't know if he sounds familiar at all to you guys, but I'll tell you this. Hormozi, for one, not only went through a lot, but as an entrepreneur, he realized what you have to do to run a multi-million-dollar business and the sacrifices you have to make to get up to that multi-million-dollar area. The other reason why I like Mr. Hormozi is because not only did he marry Layla, but his wife has the exact same mindset that he does, and together they do a very good job of talking about managing, hard work, sacrifice, and stuff like that. And you might think, well, a lot of people do that. I'm like, yeah, but they break it down to terms that are very reasonable as to why you have to do those things. And they also break it down to where it's just simple terms, but specific enough to where it kind of makes you think like, huh, that sounds correct. But this is one of these best books I've read about starting. I think it's actually the only book I've read. Well, actually, Starting Your Careers was about personal training. So yeah, the only book I read about starting a gym. I've got my lovely coffee here. Eat, Sleep, Lift. I thought it said Eat, Lift, Sleep, but I wanted to clarify that. Now, let's hop into the book. Also, I usually am filming at night. It's 7:53 in the morning, so I might sound a little tired, but hopefully I wake up here soon. So, the first part in this chapter it's called Gym Launch Secrets. It's on page 13, and he's talking about typical selling. So, let me listen to this. The sale, he starts off this paragraph where it says, pro tip. The sale has already started. It started before they even picked up the phone to contact you. This is always good to remember. So, I really like that, because honestly, you're already starting to sell before you pick up the phone. You already know what you're going to say, you already know how you're going to sound, you already know how you're going to advertise. So the sale starts when you're pressing the buttons on the phone to call somebody. Now, you also want to pre-frame their reasons for calling you in the first place. People reach out to a fitness professional because they have some kind of pain having to do with their body. Not necessarily physical pain, it could be mental. They've gained a lot of weight, they don't like how their body looks, they feel sluggish and flabby, and they want to feel good about their body again. Maybe they used to be an athlete and hate how they feel. Now after years of being sedentary, they want to live a longer, healthier life. So they can be there for their family, and they worry about dying and leaving their kids alone. Whatever it is, those pain points are going to help you get them into your program. So I kind of like that. When it comes to selling people personal training or selling people fitness goals, you got to think, well, there's got to be a purpose to want to train every day. So for example, if there's no purpose with anything you do in life, you're eventually going to lose the motivation to do it. So for example, working out, I mean, obviously you want bigger arms and a good body, but for me, I like to just do it because it's hard. It is a hard thing to want to train for an hour and a half, 45 minutes, and adding that into your day where you can easily go to work and go home and relax. And it amazes me how some people, it's really hard for them to find the motivation to go work out. The gym that I go to, I hear more people telling me how they're not motivated to be there and how they have to roll out of bed to be there. And I'm like, that's great, but if you really think about it, they're still there. And obviously the putting in work, I mean, there's the long rest time, and I mean, I used to take long rest, but I guess that doesn't matter. But not only that, they're still there putting in the work. And that could be you, and to be honest, that's how it is. It's just, if it's hard, then do it. There was a bodybuilder I watched, it might have been Tom Platz, but he mentioned if it's hard and you don't want to do it, then do it. Because I've said this on this channel before, it is the most important to do it when you don't want to. Let's see, I think I might have worded that differently. Hold on a second now. It's the most important when you don't want to do it. So that right there. But I like that. Now we're going to move on to the second part of this book. So this is still upselling. So this is upselling. So for example, when I worked in the restaurant business, the upsell was when you like someone ordered a steak, did they wanted it smothered, did they want their mashed potatoes loaded, did they want a beer, did they want this on the side, like. So upselling, even like in the mechanic world, like I've learned, upselling work is how the shop makes money. So this is about upselling, and when you upsell, you sell obviously yourself, but when you upsell because you want to make more money. And not only that, but you might think, well, gee, people are going to say no because they don't want to spend money and spend less. Honestly, you're pretty right about that, but eventually someone will buy because they'll realize, this might be helpful, this might work. So this is about upselling, and he calls the section downsell your upsell. So think about this for a second. A lot of people give me credit for this concept and cite me as the creator. I definitely didn't invent it, but I made a tremendous amount of money with it though. And I would highly recommend using it in your sales and pricing process. However, it can really only be used with a high-ticket front-end offer. If you aren't sold by now, this should be the clincher. Downselling your upsell relates to the back end of the offer. Converting people to the monthly membership or continuity, which I will get into more when I explore the attrition problem. But the main nugget I will give you here is this. No one wants a membership. They want a result and a deadline. So you should give it to them. You can do it with a bribe as mentioned above, but most times you need to sell them a defined end program. DEP, one that lasts for X days or Y weeks. Why? I have no idea, but I know it works. Isn't that funny? He has no idea, but it works. But listen to what he says here. They don't want a membership. They want a result and a deadline. So when it comes to selling a gym, I mean, Planet Fitness has memberships, but nowadays people who just want to work out, you buy a membership and they do what they want. But that's not the kind of people he's targeting. You're targeting people who want a result and a deadline to get the body that they've always wanted. Now, when it comes to getting the body you have always wanted, it will take more time for people. Now, I'm not the biggest person on earth, but I've been working out 4 or 5 times a week for the last 5 years, and I'm natural. But I get comments that I look like a gymnast. I get comments that I'm lean. I'm pretty strong for my size, but if you think this is what 5 years of dedication looks like. Drug-free, but you also got to think, it is going to take some time for your goals. Now, for example, losing weight. Losing weight, for example. For some people, losing weight takes quite a bit of time. If you really think about it, losing weight, they say lose a pound a week, but for some people, when it comes to dieting, it works for certain people. So, when it comes to losing weight, if you tell someone, hey, I can make you lose this amount of weight in this time, but, there's got to be a trade-off here. You got to do this, this, and that. Because he says, give a result and a deadline, but those people have to be willing to put in the work to get that result and deadline, and it has to be doable. It can't be like you have to live off of eggs and a can of tuna and you'll lose weight, because not only does that sound gross and horrible, but there's going to be a lot of people, probably most people, who are not willing to do that. But downsell your upsell refers to the back-end offer like he just mentioned. So if you think about it, if you downsell how you're gonna do this and this and this to get the results they want, and you just say it in a slow monotone voice, yeah, I can get you to here and get you to here, but let's go over to your membership. Now people are going to be like, I kind of like the idea of reaching those goals and not really my membership, and not really paying for a membership. I mean, obviously you're going to have to pay for the membership to train with you, but kind of building that suspense of like, hey, this is a great opportunity, but you say it like it's just a regular thing. That'll sell, because people will just be like, why'd you advertise it like that? Why'd you just say this good thing and say it real slowly and in a monotone voice as if it wasn't a big deal? So I think that's genius, but the other thing with people are all different. People might get it, people might not get it, and you might downsell your upsell and they'll be like, okay, well, let's talk about this membership then. So people are different, and people are very different when it comes to selling, because some people don't get what you're trying to do, and some people don't care. They're just like, I want a membership and I want to come here and go home. And there's nothing wrong with that because they're still paying, but the real money is going to be with your training. Now, the third part in this book is this is in 2 paragraphs, and I should have mentioned the pages and everything, but honestly, if you buy the book, you'll eventually find it. But I'll tell you anyway, now that I just mentioned it. This is page 38 and page 39. So I want you to think about what I'm about to tell you. The best thing to discourage people from breaking appointments is to simply have a hard-line policy of not rescheduling. Most gym owners aren't comfortable doing this, but it can be simple as saying we don't do reschedules because we're simply too booked up. And we only work with people who are serious and keep their word. This is the section of number of outreach attempts. The number of times you contact potential clients is directly correlated to how many people actually walk in your door. It sounds straightforward, but it is what I consider a sales law. The more attempts to reach out to someone, the more likely they are to schedule and to believe it is important to show up. So think about that for a second. The more you reach out to someone about scheduling and showing up, they're going to eventually believe that's pretty important to show up to the gym and to reach their goals. But you also got to think, when it comes to rescheduling, I agree with that, but it can be uncomfortable for some people with anybody telling them not to reschedule, because there might be that actual day they might not have time to do it. But then you also got to think, if people really want something in life, they will make the time to do it. Because in reality, people are not that busy. Broke college students, they're probably pretty busy, because they're working multiple jobs to pay for, some of them working multiple jobs to pay for school, and then that on top of school, I will give them that. Most broke college students are pretty busy. But average adults who have started their career and work a regular 40, 45-hour-a-week job and are single, I mean, if you have kids, I can kind of understand that, but like I've said, if you really want something out of life and you really want to do it, you will create the time to do it. It's a good cup of coffee. A very good cup of coffee. But also, most business owners probably won't be comfortable doing that, because if you say, well, I'm not willing to reschedule, you might lose the sale because you're not going to be flexible. But you also, with not rescheduling, the person you sold to might be like, huh, he's actually really serious about this, and you know what, I should be more serious about it. Because 45 minutes out of your day for 7 days a week, I mean, you don't have to work out 7 days a week, so let's say 5 days a week, you should have time to work out. Now, I understand if you're lifting really heavy or doing a bodybuilding training, it might last longer because of rest time, but I'm talking about average humans who just want to work out. See, when people ask me about working out, I tell them it takes 45 minutes, it doesn't take much, and if you think about it, there are a lot of people who lose weight just by simply cutting their calories, having a calorie deficit, and working out. And that's pretty much all it takes. Now, there's other YouTube videos about it, but still. So, overall, this book was very, very good. I recommend it to anybody who wants to start a gym. It's a pretty thick book, and he's pretty specific on what he does. But not only that, but he went through a lot. He was working from 4 in the morning to 11 o'clock at night. He was sleeping on the gym floor because he was paying rent. And I didn't do this, but I didn't go to the chapter in it. But what I really took home from this book when it comes to starting a business or when it comes to starting a gym, you pretty much make minimum wage and you work 100 hours a week, and all the money you make will go to that business. And if you are willing to do that, your gym will be successful. And if you think about it, that's a very good point. When it comes to running a business, you won't make a lot of money in the beginning, but you take the money you make and invest it into your business. And a lot of people don't realize that, and that's part of the reason people don't start anything, because they don't want to go through that, because then you have people who are dumb and will give you will give you crap for you not moving anywhere in your business or making no money in your business when you're working all this time. But success takes time. And that is one of the main things I've read in my books, is that success takes time. But overall, this was a very, very good book. I recommend it to anybody. If you want to start a gym, this is the best book to read. Thank you all for watching, and you all have a great day.